Well, hello, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hope everybody's having a great day. I want to touch on this a little bit. I'm just beginning to hear this, that Nick Harris is insinuating that there is help on the way for number 2 wide receiver on 105.3 The Fan, and I want to listen to it. I'm going to be listening to it with you for the first time here. I was just finishing answering some questions about people saying that DJ Moore may be some of the Cowboys are interested in. And, of course, we still have the Amari Cooper. So let's listen to Sean and RJ from 105.3 The Fan with Nick Harris.
So I'm glad it just ended up with Jay Toye and the Hawkins. Yeah. That could have been really uncomfortable.
Thank God for that.
Jeez. Amari Cooper.
So dangerous.
Let's talk about Amari Cooper here with Nick Harris.
Very dangerous. Feels so good
Nick,
when he jokes.
This is something where I think a lot of people wondered, have there been too many hurt feelings for Amari Cooper to reconcile with this team? Is that even going to be possible? But you know, you've said that this is somebody that is absolutely on the radar for the Cowboys as they still haven't filled that wide receiver 2 hole.
Yeah, absolutely. Going into the 5th round on day 3, well, going into the 1st round, we could start there. Teteroa McMillan was the top target going into the night, being like, hey, if he's there at 12, it's an easy turn-in for us. We don't need to wait for the phone to ring for a trade back. You know, we're going to make this happen. Obviously, he was not there. He goes to the Carolina Panthers. What was that at pick number 8? And they pick Booker, so they go into day 2, don't get a receiver. Go into day 3, they have an opportunity in the 5th round to pick a receiver in that instance. Instead, they go with Shamar James. And after that, receiver was off the board for the rest of the draft. And so, you know, when I put in the article on Monday that Amari Cooper has had building interest coming out of the draft, it's like, okay, we need to look around to see who are available as far as trade targets. They had already been doing work ahead of the draft in that sense. And then obviously the free agent market. Amari Cooper was a name that was getting tossed around before the draft, but since the draft, I say building team interest because they don't have a receiver coming out of the draft. And there's plenty of options on the table, you know, whether it's a George Pickens or a Rashad Bateman. We talked about those as far as trade targets. There's trade targets around the league, and I think that's what Dallas is really trying to sort through at the moment to try to find that established number 2. But if they can't, I think Amari Cooper is their safe fallback option. I say fallback because they still feel confident that Amari Cooper can be a number 2, that he can be a productive wide receiver in the league. And if you're looking at Amari Cooper's market, it's not that strong. So I feel like they could get it at a pretty good price, and they can move forward with it.
So does the rest of the league think he could be a number 2 still?
Yeah, that's a good question. And that's I'm not confident in that just based on what happened last year with him. Going back to 2023, obviously he had a pretty strong season with Cleveland, but you wonder if maybe he just never had his feet right in Cleveland with the quarterback change and all the drama going on there, and then he gets to Buffalo. Keon Coleman starts to emerge. Khalil Shakur begins to emerge almost as soon as he gets there. He dealt with an injury as soon as he got there, so it took him a while to get on the field, and then all of a sudden he has a free agent market. So it's not really like he had any time to really get his feet rolling, but you have to take that for what it is, especially at the wide receiver position with the age that he is. It's certainly a factor in this whole ordeal too.
What are the chances that we roll into training camp and they're just going to roll with the receivers that they have, and they say Jonathan Mingo is going to get the shot at number 2?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. At least as far as the people that are pushing behind the doors for this to get addressed, for them to get a number 2 wide receiver.
Okay.
My question is, does it happen before OTAs? Does it happen before mandatory minicamp in early June? OTAs start on May 19th. Obviously, the comp pick formula has been worked out as of Monday at 4 p.m., so they can work toward finding a free agent if they do want to pull the trigger on an Amari Cooper or a Keenan Allen or one of these other names that are available. But I think they're doing their due diligence in the trade market right now, and they feel selectively aggressive in that trade market right now. I'll tell you that. There have been names that they have done research on, they've done homework on. Obviously, nothing has just come to fruition yet.
On the McMillan front, he was their top guy, but this is something we were discussing actually yesterday on the draft show, the wrap-up. You weren't able to make it. I know Zach was banned by Football Ops from being in the building at the same time as Jay Toye.
Yeah.
But
Understandable.
with the Tet McMillan pick, I think a lot of people, we haven't discussed a whole lot this angle of McMillan, I don't think was so much higher than Booker actually on their board. Like I think they had Booker graded similarly. It's just the need was there with the receiver that would have just made it such a slam dunk. But for people who are maybe upset with the Booker pick, and really wanted McMillan, this is a player they got that the Cowboys graded similarly to McMillan.
Booker is a dude, and you could see it from that introductory press conference he had on Friday. And if you haven't had the opportunity to go listen to that or watch that, I mean, it's an impressive young man. You understand how they graded him so high character-wise, and then you see him on the field too, and you understand why they graded him so high from a play perspective. I mean, they're expecting him to come in and start day one at right guard, and there's nothing to think that he can't do that.
Yeah, it's amazing. If you didn't like the Tyler Booker pick, just listen to him speak, and he'll win you over. I wanted to throw a trade name out there for you guys that maybe we haven't talked about as much.
It's got to be for a fourth rounder, though. That's all we do.
Okay, well, you know,
be for a fourth.
The way that I would do this, it might be actually you send a player to this team just to kind of get the contracts ready to go. And there's nothing of substance to this at all.
You're trying to trade Jay Toya already?
No, JT's my guy. I don't want him going anywhere. This would be
my guy.
DJ.
We'll see what he thinks about that.
We're going to become best friends. Don't worry about it.
Wait.
Learn this dance, and it's going to be awesome. DJ Moore in Chicago. They just drafted Luther Burden. They've got Roma Dunze. DJ Moore is a name that they've kind of thrown out there as possibly a guy that could be on the market.
Okay.
I believe the Cowboys had him graded pretty highly in that 2018 class when they ended up taking Leighton Vander Esch. Now, that is a contract you are going to be picking up a big salary.
Yeah.
Corner is thin. But Trayvon Diggs, in my opinion, is a player that if he were healthy, I think they already would have tried, if not moved him. Is that possibly, maybe you talk about a player for player? Cowboys probably have to throw in a little bit extra because you have an injured guy there that we're not sure when he's officially going to get back. But maybe it's not even, hey, Diggs is involved in this at all. But out of the options, I know George Pickens has been thrown out there. Some have talked about Cortland Sutton. I know the return we talked about was foolish on that. But DJ Moore kind of is the most intriguing name for me if they were to try and trade for somebody.
Yeah, he has the $27.5 million APY average per year. That would be really tough on the Cowboys books this year. Now, you're throwing the proposition at me of trading Diggs in that sense. I don't see Chicago taking that just because they don't need Diggs, and especially they don't need an injured guy to take from DJ Moore.
What about Guyton? Yeah, I mean, if you want to get really crazy, Guyton.
If you're Chicago, are you doing that in your right mind?
I mean, if Chicago needs offensive line help and they say it's
I don't think they need it that bad.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna defend Tyler Guyton a little bit.
I'm not pooping on Tyler Guyton. This is DJ Moore.
No, we're talking about a really high-quality receiver.
Guyton
and I think they need to do that.
Or Guyton and a third or something like that.
Yeah,
I was looking at Diggs in a 4.
Yeah, I'd rather just give up a 2 at that point.
Me too, actually.
Yeah, I would rather just give up a 2 for an established receiver
get it done?
And a guy that will be here 4 or 5 years, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Would a 2 get that done, though?
DJ Moore?
Yeah.
That would be tough. I mean, the contract number maybe because you could be like, hey, you're going to have to pay this guy. You're going to have to pay that guy. DJ Moore, if you want to offload those books. But you look at their receiving core last year, it was DJ Moore leading the way. So I don't know. I don't know if Chicago's ready to part with him.
What?
98 receptions last year. 98. And of his 8 seasons, 5 of them have been well over 1,000 yards. So I pointed out in some of my earlier videos what it's cost us getting rid of Amari Cooper and trying to find a number 2. We've spent $60 million over the last $60 million plus a third, a fourth, and a fifth rounder trying to replace that production. So yeah, you're talking about probably $10 to $12 million more a year than Amari Cooper, but a guy who had a pretty good season last year, 988 yards, I believe. 980 yards, 98 receptions. Granted, it was only 9.9 yards of reception, but he's butter. All right, people, there you have it. More on DJ